This is kind of a super old shelter, but it's basically a wooden platform. Most people sleep the other direction, but it's just me tonight, so I figured I'd be fully covered. Lots of graffiti. My water I just filtered. These are so that the mice can't come down and get to your backpack. I don't think there's any mice tonight, so I just stuck mine on a nail. The roof is pretty dry rotted. There's the privy. So that's the bathroom. You don't want to see it, but there's a couple guys. The roof just has a tarp. So hopefully it doesn't rain tonight. That's how I filter water. Get it from the creek, filter into my bottle. Hello, I'm laying on the ground at Fontana Dam outside the bathrooms. There's a bench here. I'm waiting on a shuttle to pick me up to take me to the hike in. I made a decision about the Smokies. I'll make a video about that later. But I made it from Stecoah to, where did I go? Cable Gap last night with some young guys. Caleb and Denver from Georgia, and then this young guy Stitch, who is aspiring to be a middle school band teacher, which I think is awesome. I said, "What do you play?" He said, "Tuba." And I said, "I used to play baritone horn," and he got this big smile, and he said, "I actually play euphonium," which is another word for it, but nobody knows what it is. So we bonded over brass and middle school, and how middle school is such a difficult age for so many kids, and that band can be such a beautiful creative outlet. So anyway, I'm sure this is a very unflattering, what is that called, angle. Me on the ground at the bathrooms. My feet are up on a bench. I don't even know if you can see everything. But anyway, I'm just laying down, stretching my back, waiting on a shuttle. It rained a little bit yesterday. I used my umbrella for the first time. That worked pretty well to keep the water off me. It wasn't like a ton of rain. It was just annoying rain, but I didn't want to get too wet. It's been abnormally hot. It was like almost 70 yesterday. It feels like it was about the same today. It's so sweaty. It probably was only like 50-ish degrees. I mean, not only it was so hot last night, it was like 50. I made a little video, I think, of the shelter where I stayed. The floor was like so uneven, and I was on a board that was loose. So I kept waking myself up hearing the board move, which, I'd rather hear a board move than like mice crawling over me, which has not happened. And hopefully will never happen. So anyway, Made it to Fontana Dam. I don't know what mile this is on the trail, but I've got lots more to go. All right, so I am at the Hike Inn. Miss Nancy runs this by herself. She's 70 something years old. It's like a motel with, I think, 6 or 8 rooms. But she says she only tries to keep 2 or 3 full because it's all she could handle. I feel like I keep doing these and I'm so tired. I keep yawning. I apologize. I also look like I'm a medical assistant or something. She gives everyone scrubs as loaner clothes while she does your laundry. And then we went into the little town of Robbinsville tonight. She says that Robbinsville is the county seat. I don't know what county I'm in North Carolina, but she said it's like the poorest county in the state. So we had dinner at some little diner, which was really good. And then I'm taking a 0 tomorrow. I had packed 10 days of food, which was very heavy. And then I did my longest miles yesterday with a heavy pack. So going up from Stecoah to Cable Gap was like a big climb for me. Already the uphills are not my strong suit, but then being like totally loaded down with all this weight. And the reason I had 10 days of food, it was like 10 dinners and 10 breakfasts and not quite 10 lunches, just snacks and stuff to have throughout the day, is because I thought it would take me 2 days to get to Fontana and then probably 7 days or 8 to get through the Smokies. So I thought, well, that'll be perfect. But I guess I'll just give my little Smokies update now. I am skipping the Smokies. Oh, gasp in horror. Cheater, pumpkin eater. Instead, I'm calling it my up, down, left, right. So like start for the Smokies, the extra lives and all the things. If you don't know what that is, you just are not an old school Nintendo person. But I kept having all this like weird anxiety, dark thoughts about the Smokies. And I knew it wasn't just that hill, like the 10-mile climb, because I thought, well, I could go to Newfound Gap and go the other way, or I could go south and then go north, or there's lots of options. And all of them felt really wrong. And I'm not one that just like lives by my feelings, but on this trail and this hike, I just led by the spirit, whatever you want to call it. I'm just going with my gut, with my feelings. And every time I thought about the Smokies, it just was like, just felt really wrong. And not because it's hard and not because it's highest, blah, 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 whatever. I was planning on it. I was carrying all this dang food. And as I got closer to the Smokies and like today, was it today? No, yesterday, thinking about the Smokies, I just kept having like really dark thoughts. And it made me wonder, like, what is going on with this? So I'd sit with it for a mile, like, what's happening? And it's not my story to tell, so I'll just overview it a little bit. But there is a loved one close to me who was in a situation that was not great with a person in their life that was kind of like grooming slash trying to take advantage of an innocent soul and crush it by control ish. It was a weird situation. And anyway, part of that situation involved a weekend hiking in the Smokies. Now, it wasn't on the AT, but close enough. And as I thought about that situation, and it resolved by like enough friends and family and others coming together, voicing concerns to where there was like an intervention type conversation had, just pointing out red flags. And this person, this loved one, thankfully recognized them and worked their way out of the situation in a positive way. That was really good to see the maturity of this person who I know. And so all that to say, while I was getting closer to the Smokies, I was sort of having really dark thoughts about this person I love and like situations and all of this. And I thought is this why? Why is this happening? And then I also realized I didn't want like 70 miles of just these thoughts. And of course, I like brought myself back to reality and did some praying and contemplation and, thinking. But what feels right, and that's what I'm going with, and everybody says hike your own hike. So I'm hiking my own hike, and that involves skipping the Smokies. What feels right is skipping and not setting any feet, not 1 foot, not 3 feet, not 2 feet, none of my feet, into the Smokies. And maybe someday this person and I, if they want to, would come back and we could hike this section together and kind of redeem the land in a sense. So I had been thinking about that yesterday, and then I was thinking about the redemption part this morning. And that guy Denver, who I spent the night with last night, it was Denver and Caleb, and that guy, what was his name? Stitch, the band teacher. Denver and Caleb and Stitch are all also Christians, so it was kind of interesting because there's not a ton of Christians out on trail. It's a lot of people spiritual or seeking or, non-believers, which whatever. But it was interesting just to have all four of us together. But so Denver had dropped Caleb off a mile south, because he was done hiking. And so Denver and I were talking at the top of the hill when he caught up to me. And he ended up saying like his favorite name for God is like God the Redeemer or whatever. And I was like, I was just thinking about redemption. So anyway, all that to say, I'm here at the Hike Inn, which is near Fontana Dam, near Robbinsville, North Carolina. I'm going to take a 0 tomorrow, just kind of rest, because after all that weight, and yesterday I did like 9.5 miles, I think, or over 9, which was my longest day. So it was like my longest mile day with my heaviest pack ever. And I was really just trying to step carefully and take care of myself and my joints. And I've tried to take some pictures to show, like, I think a lot of people think the trail is just like a trail, like a greenway, but with dirt. And it's just this smooth sailing, beautiful thing. And it's anything but. It's like every single route that exists in the world strewn across, along with like extra rocks, and then some boulders, and then some streams. And every once in a while, there's like a 10-foot patch of just like dirt. And you're like, whoa, this is a bonus. But also, just to add bonus adventure, all the leaf cover is still there. So the leaves are covering, and then there's like rocks and sticks and roots, and you can't even see them. So I see these trail runners just running down, and I think, man, that's amazing. I don't think, well, first, my life's philosophy is do not run. So I would never be one. But also, I think it would fall on my face every 2 steps. So it wouldn't even be running. It would just be like perpetual falling at that point. But I just am amazed that they can just run through without like dying. Because I'm barely walking through without dying. So I did try to take some pictures of like the rocks and the roots and the weird logs just sawn in half at a weird angle, and that kind of thing, just to kind of give you an idea of what the trail really looks like. So taking a 0 tomorrow, just resting, hydrating, eating. I think there's another hiker coming in tomorrow. So right now I'm the only one here. So Miss Nancy and I went to dinner and we got to chat a bit, and she's so sweet. And then so tomorrow night with that hiker and Miss Nancy and I will go to the other restaurant in Robbinsville. We went to the one today that is closed on Sunday because I think tomorrow's Sunday. And then we'll go eat at the Mexican/Italian restaurant. So that sounds like a fun adventure. And then Monday, I have a shuttle driver coming here to meet me in the afternoon, and he's going to drive me to another hostel that is on the other side of the Smokies, the Discerning Hiker, I believe it's called. And I'll spend Monday night there, and then Tuesday I'll get back on trail past the Smokies on my way to, I think, Hot Springs. And I was telling Miss Nancy today that, like, I think my anxiety, confusion, whatever, one, I'm not a hiker, I don't really love it. Well, I do not love it. The sweating, it's been so hot. But two, like, and I know I'll figure this out. It's still really early, but like how much food to carry, and I have too much. So I'm just going to eat through it. Hopefully, by the time I get to Hot Springs, I'll have had a bunch eaten. I found what's it called? Peak Refuel makes a chicken Alfredo pasta, and it is delicious and it's very bland. So I feel like I can eat it constantly and not worry about it because it doesn't really have any flavor. And it's just like creamy. And the chicken is really juicy and the pasta is soft. So I feel like at least I can eat it till I'm tired of it. And then I found this oatmeal that's really good. It has like cardamom and cinnamon in it. And so I split those meals in half because I still don't have the hiker hunger. I'm getting to where I feel like I'm about to have it, where I could eat 2 of those meals, but like right now, 1 is too much to eat. So I have like 10 dinners and 10 breakfasts to try to eat through. And then the guy who's shuttling me on Monday, he's a triple crowner, which means he's done the Appalachian Trail, the Continental Divide Trail, and the Pacific Crest Trail. All 3. That's what a triple crowner is. Sometimes people do all 3 in one calendar year. I'm just trying to get a trail done, period. But anyway, I'm going to pick his brain. Like, I just need a list. Like, here's every town. I know I'm sure it exists somewhere, but I don't have it. And I don't want to make it. But like, here's every town where you can resupply, stay at a hostel, whatever. Here's the mileage between them. Here's how many days of food in general you need to carry. And then if I have that list and I can put it in my phone and I can just reference it and be like, okay, I have this many miles. And then in my head, I can think, how long is that going to take me? And then I can like, kind of figure things out and maybe not be quite as, I don't know if anxious is the wrong word because that's too strong, but, concerned, or it takes up thoughts that it doesn't need to. So that's the Smokies slash whatever update. And so, oh, I met this guy Rich. I was like, you sound like you're from Delaware County, but he's from Jersey, and he lives somewhere else now, Virginia, I believe, and he's a section hiker. And so Fontana Dam to the NOC, I think, is the last section down here. And once he had that, he was going to be like, he had the trail all the way from Georgia to somewhere in Virginia, which is awesome. So I met him today. He was coming up from Fontana Dam, going to Stecoah today. And so he was on the end of a very long climb. And he told me it's all downhill from here. And I got to tell him where it would be all downhill for him on the way to Stecoah. So it's nice to like run back into people. And I would love to see that Denver kid again. I think he was like 21. He's like one of my kids' ages. And just a really nice kid. And he's a great hiker. So I said, well, I'm sure by the time we get to Hot Springs, even though I skipped the Smokies, you'll already be passing me by. But anyway, he was a great kid. And I like to see like great kids doing great things, because I think as older generations are always like, oh, those kids, whatever, and a lot of complaints, but there's so much good in these young kids and these new generations, and I'm glad to see it because I know it exists, and to see it firsthand, and to see these kids. And even today, like this, see the bagger at Ingles, which is the grocery store, this kid made eye contact, had conversation, and Miss Nancy said he's always the kindest kid, always engages in conversation. And I was like, yeah, these kids are doing good things. So anyway, great job, young kids doing awesome stuff. Keep it up. And I don't know when I'm going to schedule this to post, but I will say yesterday was a hard day. There were a lot of tears, which I will not shed now, but yesterday was my baby boy's 16th birthday. We did a fake birthday party for him like a couple weeks before trail, because I said, is it really okay that I miss your birthday? Because this is the first time I've purposefully planned something to be away and miss a child's birthday. Now, some of my older ones, they've kind of planned their own birthday outings where they've been away on their birthdays. So I've missed it that way, but I've never like missed it one of my kids' birthdays where I'm the one missing. And I said, is it okay if I miss? And he said, I don't care as long as I get money and car parts, which seems like spoken like a 15-year-old boy. But I called him yesterday and I was like, trying not to break down crying while I was breaking down crying, trying not to sound like I was crying on the phone. And his phone keeps buzzing. And I was like, what's that noise? Happy birthday. I love you. You're the best. Blah, blah, blah. He's like, it's my friend texting. Sounding annoyed that I'm on the phone because he wants to be talking to his friend. Which was beautiful and hurtful all at the same time. So hung up the phone with him, and then I called Miss Nancy to talk about smoky stuff because I still wasn't figuring it out. And then I'm like a blubbering mess on the phone to her. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I just got off the phone with my kid, blah, blah, blah. So like it was an emotionally hard day. And it also was a physically hard day because I was carrying all that extra weight going up all these hills. And I know like I'll be going uphill till I get to Katahdin, and then I can go downhill and be done with the hills. But I will say today I noticed that like on the climbs and the uphills, I'm still slow, but when I first started last year and again this year, it was like every 10 to 15, sometimes 20 feet, I'm like out of breath, have to stop, take 3 deep breaths, and I keep going, and I like fool myself. I'm like, take 25 steps and then you can stop or go to that tree or go to that blaze. And then you can stop and rest. And so going up today, it was like I didn't have to stop and rest quite so much. And then sometimes I would stop and I'm like, why am I stopping? I'm not out of breath. And I think it's just this habit. So now I've got to break myself of the habit of just stopping for stopping's sake and just go up. So, and I'm doing better at like drinking and snacking while walking, which sounds like it should be easy, but I think I'll just do it next hour or whatever. And then you get dehydrated and then your body starts hurting. So I'm learning like, hey, if you feed your body water when it's sweating because it's 1,000,000 degrees outside, it walks better. And yeah, so I found these like Cliff Bar energy chews in black cherry or some kind of cherry flavor, and they're delicious, and it's just sugar and caffeine, which is super helpful on the uphills, you know. And then Slim Jims, I remember eating them like 20 years ago. I hadn't really had any, but they're really good for like the salt and a little bit of protein, not a ton, but like, so I'm getting like the sugar on the ups, and then I get to the top of the hill and have a Slim Jim or something else. Like I had a tuna fish with crackers yesterday, which I always refrigerate my tuna can so it's really cold with the cold mayonnaise. So this was like warm tuna and warm mayonnaise on crackers, but I was so hungry, it actually wasn't as terrible as I thought it was going to be. But anyway, so I'm learning things as I go, and I keep saying like, I'm not a hiker, and people are like, but you're hiking. I said, okay, so I'm hiking right now, but I'm not a hiker, and we'll see if by the end of this, I feel like a hiker, or I will actually call myself a hiker. Right now, I'm a hiking person because I'm actively in the process of hiking, but I wouldn't classify myself as a hiker because to me, those people are weird in a good way, but I just like, I'm weird, but not that weird or that type of weird. So we'll see. I'm rambling now. But anyway, all that to say, Smokies update, no Smokies. I did read somewhere, maybe it was the ATC website, Appalachian Trail Conservancy or whatever, that like the through hiker on average skips 250 miles. And someone said that's why you get a 2,000 miler certificate, not a 2,200 miler certificate. So if that's true, I still have like 175 miles I can skip and be an average hiker. So that is, you know, whatever. But I, again, appreciate y'all watching these and commenting. And I guess I'll be starting my journey towards Hot Springs, which I think is North Carolina. I'm not really good at the states, like Tennessee, North Carolina, just kind of zigzag through. But anyway, I'm hoping in hot springs, I can sit in the hot springs and soak. Oh, I will say this about Miss Nancy at the hike in. We get here and I was like, do you have a bathtub room? And she said she did, but the TV didn't really work. I said, I don't watch TV. It doesn't matter. Like I have a rule, if you're in a hotel room or Airbnb or whatever, the TV doesn't go on. So she brought me Epsom salts and she said, the hot water is really hot. I said, that's my favorite phrase ever because I have an old clawfoot tub in my bathroom at home. And I fill it up and I can barely get in it because I feel like I'm burning myself. So I got to have like a super hot bath with Epsom salts and my tight legs already feel a lot better. So I'm hoping tomorrow I can repeat that process and just have her bring me over some more Epsom salts, take another long bath. It's like a little motel bathtub, so it's not like a deep thing where I can like be up to here and super soak, but it's enough to get like my legs and my lower back soaking in the Epsom salts, which is where it's most needed. So anyway, shout out to Hike In. I think it's the Hike In. It's over near Fontana Dam. So if you're ever over this way, whether you're hiking or you're just visiting, like it's an older motel. And again, she's like 70 something doing it all herself. So it's not like 5-star accommodations. Definitely 2-star accommodations for sure. And quiet and amazing and like the best hostess ever. So if you're this way, send Miss Nancy your business because there's a Fontana Dam Resort, but it's expensive and like I don't know anything about it. It could be amazing. I just know that Miss Nancy's amazing and this room is amazing. And it reminds me of those old motels where it's like color television because that was like the big thing, right? Or then it was like cable TV because like on her little ad on Far Out, which is the app that I use, it said something like each room has a refrigerator and a microwave and a television. And so like it's a newfangled thing. So anyway, she's really cute. These rooms are great. And I will talk to y'all probably when I'm closer to Hot Springs.